Cresta Star's 9-4. What do you make of that?
Well, I thought it was interesting when Miss Astragal was in that Richard Hughes had decided to take the ride on her rather than Miss Astragal, who was officially a £3 higher rated horse and came here with what looked like better claims, really. But Richard Hughes goes for Cresta Star, a horse that he's never ridden. He's on for the first time, which could well be a positive. The second run at Leicester was probably the best one. That form has stood up all right. Last time out, a little bit disappointing, really, at Newmarket. Needs to bounce back, but got a good draw. Richard Hughes, the fact that he chose this horse over Miss Astragal, I thought made it quite interesting anyway. And this maiden, to my eye, doesn't look as strong as the previous one. I think you could probably have taken the first three from the other race, and my thinking would be that those three will probably all be better than the winner of this one, but we'll see. Compare times and have a look afterwards.
Yeah, Chris, I've got a fancy in the race, and I've backed it each way. I've backed Chatterati, the Street Cry filly. She's reasonably well drawn. She's had a couple of runs. Thought she showed with a little bit of promise on her debut. It was an okay start to her career. And then she was isolated in the wrong... Well, she was just isolated, really. And also she met dead ground at Newmarket on her second start. She's by Street Cry. We mentioned Street Cry in the context of Yana Beer in our 610 contest. They do well on poly track. The form of the yard couldn't be better. And she's bumped into a weak lot. She's got experience. She's got a good draw. I think, you know, she's about 7-1. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, it's a very good case you've made. I think she's going to have to improve a little bit on what she's done before, but there's definitely room for improvement there, isn't there, based in her pedigree and the yard that she's in as much as anything else. She's got a good draw. It was a step forward first to second run, and that ground, as you mentioned, might not have suited her. I remember that race. I was working at Newmarket that day. Semiel, the winner, was ridden prominently. Chatterati was held up, and it wasn't a race in which being held up was ideal, so forgive her on that score as well, I think.
Right. Hopefully Aquila Debbie can hold a prominent enough position on her from 2, and she's got previous experience. That's what Syrian in good stead. A quick word on Twin Shadow. She's a newcomer, but she's being backed. I'm not surprised that they've come from a newcomer. No,
she was the most interesting newcomers, I thought, with a pretty good pedigree. The other horse that I wanted to mention was Fine Art, who I thought made quite an eye-catching debut first time up at a time when the Yards horses weren't running that well.
Yeah. OK, we're nearly ready. Let's go back to Mark.
Refreshes the parts. Thanks, Angus. I was just saying that Refresh the Parts is getting very restless, and so too is Hip Hop now. Actually, in the paddock, a lot of these and on the way to post actually looks a bit more professional than the previous race. You'll notice the colour change here. That's 11, Perfect Day, going in the grey saddle towel. Last one moves in. They're in the gate. And they're off. 7 furlongs ahead of the 2-year-old fillies. Yours Ever missed the kick. Also Hip Hop was slow to go, and so too was Lily Potts. But it was Cresta Star very professionally away, taking a very strong hold towards the inside rail is End of Dreams, and as that one was just taken back off heels, fell into the lap a little of Chatterati, who also was pinched back as I go now towards the end of the back stretch. And it's Cresta Star who has a share of the lead now, with Perfect Day with the white blaze and noseband, and then Compton Rainbow right round the outside, and then Perchance in the Apricot, followed towards the inside by End of Dreams. Then the grey colours of Twin Shadow is next. Then towards the outside, Refreshes the Parts, who's about 4 wide as they go around the turn, just in advance of Chatterati and Cambridge Duchess on the inside. Yours Ever has moved to the inside rail, followed by Fine Painting as they make the turn on towards the final 3 furlongs. Struggling very badly, Lily Potts is tailed off, and so too is Hip Hop. Making the run now inside the final 2.5 furlongs. Compton Rainbow in the orange has come through now just to put a head in front to Cresta Star towards the inside. Perchance down the outside, followed then by Twin Shadow, who tries to come on. Cambridge Duchess then towards the inside. Fine Painting has now been unleashed on the very wide outside, is making very good progress indeed. Inside the final furlong, here's Fine Painting on the outside. Cresta Star towards the inside, followed by Yours Ever and Chatterati. 100 yards to go. Cresta Star is finding more to repel now. Fine Painting, and Cresta Star wins. And it's both legs of this race for Richard Hannon and Richard Hughes. Fine Painting in second, tight third. Chatterati to the outside of Yours Ever.
Well, Cresta Star's won. She's made every yard of the running, and she's won for Richard Hughes and Richard Hannon. Double on the card after whimsical success. Fine Painting's run a really good race, and Chris gave her a pretty good shout beforehand, and I think she's run a tremendous race from stall 14, saw daylight as well, and pulled hard. She's run very well indeed, and it's quite tight for third place. I think my each way poke is finished 4th. Way of all decent each way bets. Fine Painting's run an amazing race. I know she's got beaten, but she's run really well, and as has the Mark Prescott Dan Silly filly Yours Ever.
Yeah, the winner, first of all, again, has made all the running. It's paid to race prominently all of the races so far tonight at Kempton Park.
Yes.
Cresta Star has definitely, Richard Hughes on for the first time, I think, improved a little bit this evening. Fine Painting has run really well. You'll see here a little bit posted out wide and taking a little bit of a grip there, you can see in the white jacket, really struggling to settle as no cover is really available, and eventually she does settle once she gets in behind horses. It's almost immediate. Once she gets in behind, she drops her head a little bit and settles better. So she's still going with a fair amount of zest, but she just takes a bit of a knock. Everything's kind of gone wrong for her. She's had a horrible trip. And yet she's run very, very well. I think there are races to be won with her. She did make an eye-catching debut, and I wouldn't be surprised if she stepped forward, maybe even next time, to lose her maiden tag. She's shown her hand already to a certain extent, but I think that things haven't really gone her way on either start, and she's better than she's been able to show. The Godolphin filly that you mentioned beforehand, Chatterati, has run all right, travelling quite well, just out of her ground slightly, but no real excuses. The eventual third has come from a little bit further back from her, and I quite like the way that Yours Ever quickens up here and just gets herself into contention. I thought that was quite promising. Just now she just starts to pick up and moves through the field quite comfortably, really, and I think on her debut her run kind of peters out a little bit, but that turn of foot that she showed to get there, and get her into contention, I think will stand her in good stead, and with this experience under her belt, she's not been knocked about, I think she can step forward. Yeah, no, I think there could be more to come from her. That was a fine debut from her. She just quickened into a gap, and you could just see she was level with Chatterati, the Godolphin filly, at this stage, and she quickened up better than that one. That one's run on perfectly well for fourth place, but the turn of foot was shown by Yours Ever to get involved. Cresta Star in the end is probably one with just a little bit in hand. She got the run of the race. She just got pestered by Compton Rainbow, who took her on around the outside and pulled hard early on, but Richard Hughes always felt he had the race in control, really. No headway from anything behind, really. Nothing too exciting from behind. That's Twin Shadow, money for that, right down on the inside rail. Not beaten too far. Yeah, I thought that horse ran all right on debut, actually, Twin Shadow. It was quite a promising start. I don't always think that the rail is the place to be, at the inside at Kempton. No. So